My name is Henry, and I guess serial entrepreneur is the best way to put it. I like to build things and work with people that small teams. And I think this is like the term, the best way to put it is everything that I do is related to e-commerce. So that's basically it.
Awesome, man. Thank you. So, to get us started, where were you at before coaching, and what inspired you to hire me and go through the whole process with the liberation session and the integration coaching?
Absolutely. So before I was dealing with some physical injuries, I was going through a transition in my career. Because I started in e-commerce, but then throughout my career, I transitioned into doing tech, which was just a complete 360-degree turn. It wasn't a very transferable thing that I had. And it was a hard transition coming back to e-commerce, and I felt kind of lost. And there was just a lot of jadedness that I had with, you know, being a startup type of founder and, going through all this, because then you feel kind of stuck and left behind when you have all your other friends kind of doing much better. So yeah, I was just very jaded before. And I was just transitioning back into e-commerce at that time. And it was just a lot of mindset stuff that I was what do you call it? Limiting beliefs that I had before. So that was where it was beforehand.
Awesome. And for you, like what was that moment where you decided like I need to talk to somebody about this or I need to get coaching on this? What was that inspired you to make the decision to start coaching together?
Yeah, so initially I had a good talk with my buddy and he was the one that referred me. But I made the decision in the end because I've done a lot of coaching before and I knew that okay, this is stuff that really helps. It's kind of like look, if you look at any athlete, there's always a coach because no matter what, you're gonna have a blind spot. Like you just can't, you're not gonna know it all. No one's perfect. And I knew there were things holding me back and I knew that it was there. I mean, I have a lot of tools and resources already beforehand that I was using, but just felt like, all right, I think I'm in a space where I really need this now because I've kind of fallen back behind in terms of progress of self-development. And I didn't want to be left more behind back than the progress that I was initially going through. So that's why I pulled the trigger.
Awesome, man. And what were some of the biggest wins that you had, like wins, learnings, and insights that you had while going through the coaching?
So the biggest wins, physically, I'm a lot better. I think a lot of it did have to do with mindset, obviously taking care of your body and loving yourself. I think there's a lot of things that came into that. So feeling better, I'm not like taking lots of breaks and staying indoors and not going out. Like now I'm outside every day doing at least 10,000 steps. Before I was just doing 1,000 steps a day. So there's that. Financially, I'm in a better place now than I was before. I mean, there's still a lot of improvements to be made. It was a very slow progress and it was a very tough one, but with the right help from you, I was able to okay, have the right patience because I felt very rushed, like, I don't want to be in this. I've been in here for too long, coming back into this space. And biggest takeaways, for me at least, I think everyone's gonna have a different thing. For me, when in doubt, go within. That's my biggest takeaway. Like it's always your subconscious can tell you a lot if you allow it to help you. And that's been one of the biggest things that I keep using today if I still have problems where I'm like, all right, let me just, you know, take some time to myself. And this sounds so easy to do, but with your help and practices that I've done with you where I can kind of put myself in a room and feel everything down to zero and let my subconscious do the work because no one ever does that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's a good way to put that.
Yeah, sometimes some of the simplest things create the biggest results. And I remember when you and I started, a lot of things were geared towards like what can I do out here in terms of actions, and sometimes the answers that you're actually seeking are within. One thing that I'd be curious if you could share a little bit more about for somebody who's, watching this, when you say feel it down to a zero, can you talk about like what your relationship was with emotions before and what it's like now and what it means to you to feel things down to a zero?
Absolutely, sure. So before, like feeling the emotions, I mean, look, I'm Asian. I'm sure there's if anybody else out there that's Asian is watching, I mean, you know how hard it is to Southeast Asian at least, right? Like Confucianism, you're not supposed to feel. You're in my household, you were taught not to feel emotions, not to express emotions, right? And it was a tough thing for me growing up, but when I first met you, I had emotional awareness, but being able to process it was not as strong still. And before I was just kind of like, all right, I'm feeling this, so I'm gonna go sit in the corner now and try to just feel it out, just forcefully feel it out, right? But I wouldn't really ask why. Like, why am I kind of feeling this? Like now there's like a lot more tools that you've given me. If I'm feeling like hateful or something, there's certain tools that I would have that you've given me where I can really process that better. And feeling it down to zero, meaning that for me, there's no more like hatefulness,
Hmm.
there's jadedness. Because if there is, then you haven't felt it down to zero. Because at the end of the day, everything you're here to learn. Like, what is this supposed to teach me? And if I am not learning from it, I'm just like reacting to it, then I didn't feel it down to a zero. And sometimes it's not like, I think that the biggest thing for me was like, all right, sometimes you can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna feel down to a zero in these 5 minutes now. And then it's, all right, oh, I learned something from it. No, it doesn't. Sometimes, depending on the situation, it takes time. And you have to allow yourself the time and patience to feel it out, right?
Hmm.
Depending on how severe, how big the situation, or maybe it's something that happened to you like for 20 years and you never felt it down to zero. It's probably gonna take you a while, and you have to give yourself that time, right? So I hope that answers that question.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I always like to ask because that's one of the most fundamental tools that every single one of my clients learns. And those who practice it get the best results because at the end of the day, like we can do mindset work all day long, we can remove limiting beliefs, but if you don't feel the emotions fully, then they're going to find ways to keep coming back up. And so, like, it was great what you said, right? Somebody could have an emotion that they haven't let themselves feel for 20 years and it's still coming up. So, it's so cool that you're able to take these tools in a very practical way. And when in doubt, go within. And when you go within, you can feel things fully down to a zero when it comes to your emotions that are coming up because you realize that they have something to give you if you're willing to just listen and feel them. Whereas most people, especially entrepreneurs, like high achievers, like we've been taught to avoid it. So between your cultural background and the world that you're in, it's like there was no room for emotions, but now you have the ability to actually process them in real time.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thanks. Thanks for you, man.
Of course, yeah, I got you, man. The other thing that I was curious if you could share a little bit about is what was your experience like with the liberation session? Because it is a very unique experience, and every single one of my clients is a different description of it because they have their own experience. So, can you talk about your experience with the liberation session and what it did for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at first I didn't really understand what the word meant, but it literally means what it says it does. You feel liberated. Like
Yeah.
it's as odd as it sounds. Like if I were to put it down to break it down further, like what does that necessarily mean? You have a lot of all of us has some kind of unprocessed like emotions deep in our subconscious. And the thing that you helped with, like you provided a very practical tool, which is what I loved the most in the liberation sessions, was that it was very step by step, but not like a robotic way, but naturally step by step, where it got down to the root cause of why you were feeling this and or why you were jaded or why you were this or why you were that, and you have no idea why you even do certain things. And it's so deep rooted into your childhood, maybe at the age of like one, or maybe even when you were a baby. Like it's just like there's all these things that we just don't have a visual of because it's so long ago, and it's just like someone else is in that front drive driving that wheel, and it might not actually be you, right? So when you get down to that root cause, and in this, it's crazy because it's like some things you just can't really explain in words. It's like
Mhm.
you have to really feel it out, right? And this type of sessions I've had, I haven't had anything like this. I've done a lot of stuff. I mean, I've done stuff with, I mean, Tony Robbins has a lot of these type of like visualizing like your future and stuff like that. But liberation sessions with you was just is completely different because it was much more practical. It wasn't so up in the air and theory based. Like you really got down to what the issue was, or maybe it wasn't an issue, but what the root cause of why, at least, right? So I hope that answers that question.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think what's really interesting that you shared is that it is a practical experience without it feeling robotic. Like there's a rhyme and the reason to the process that actually will liberate you from the emotions that are carried in your subconscious. And like you're saying, right, like some of the root causes of these things were before you had language or before you had like ways of creating memories or stories in your head, but they still stay with you. Just because like you forgot about them doesn't mean they go away. And that's what the liberation session is designed to do: is remove all that emotional debt so that it's not getting in the way of what you're trying to do today or what's most meaningful today. And one thing I'd love to ask you about is because some people have some misconceptions about what it is to look within and process their emotions. And some people, they may be hesitant to do a session like this. One, because they don't have a compartment in their brain to realize what's possible in just a few hours of doing this type of work. But two, some people may fear like reliving a trauma or adopting a new story, a new like victim story because they found out all these things about themselves from their subconscious. So many people are afraid to look within. And I don't know if you had any of those hesitations, but just from your experience, did you have to relive any trauma or like like did you end up carrying any stories going through this, or did you, like you said, feel liberated? Like what was the difference for you there?
So for me, it was, I mean, I didn't have any hesitations, to be honest. Like
Mhm.
I trusted the process. And I did feel liberated. Like, because the thing is, you're going into, I understand that, okay, depending on, I don't know. For me personally, I don't believe in the word trauma because then you're kind of like victimizing yourself. That's
Mhm.
like some of the things that I learned from you. And I think it's important to go back into some of these things that perhaps have haunted you for so many years and that you try to bury, right? And in a way, it's healing.
Mhm.
So when you go back in there, some might be like, oh, yeah, I'm reliving it or whatnot. But actually, are you? I mean, it's the past.
Mhm.
So what you're doing is you're learning from it.
Yeah.
And in these sessions that I've had with you, I was observing things that I didn't even like, oh, if I didn't ever look back, I would have never noticed some of these things. And you have a
Mhm.
different look afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think that's super important
Mhm.
to be able to let go as
Yeah.
well. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. One other, I think what you said is interesting there when you said you got to observe some of these things of your past. And one of the things that makes it so that somebody's not reliving traumas or adopting victimhood stories is being able to have that vantage point that you do in that liberation process where you can see things from like an objective standpoint where you don't have to like relive anything and you can actually process them and gain the wisdom from those experiences. So another question that I had for you was, what was like you said, you've had a lot of coaches in the past, you've done a lot of personal development work. What was different about this coaching from anything else that you've experienced?
there was no guesswork. This was kind of like ask and you shall receive. Kind of, it was very practical and it really got down to the root cause. Okay, maybe I can put in for those who like Marvel, like Doctor Strange. It's a great character. Like Doctor Strange is really good at getting down to like why. Like you ask 5 times why, but you have a pretty good system where it does that for you. Like you just save so many time, so much time. Like I've worked with people where, yeah, they would give me something, but then I'm like, ah, it's a lot of guesswork still.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, they don't know either. So I think that's the difference. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Makes 100% sense, and I'm glad that you said that because that is very much the intention of why we do things and structure them in the way that we do is so that when I'm coaching you, I'm not guessing what it is that you need because a lot of the answers, or I would say all of the answers you are coming up with from questions that I'm facilitating. And we're using the mirror of your answers to actually show us where is the limiting story that you're telling yourself? Where are the unconscious blind spots that we can shine a light on? And because we do it in that way, like you said, it saves a ton of time because we're not guessing. We're not saying like, oh, you should, let's say, uh, do intermittent fasting every day and go keto or whatever the case. Like we're not just throwing trending habits that are like good biohacking habits or good mindset habits. We're actually looking at what is it that you need and what is it that's showing up in terms of your mental constructs and how can we adjust those to create the desired results that you're seeking to create liberation from the unprocessed stuff that your subconscious was holding on to like a bunch of open tabs, right? And so I love that you said that because that is very much my intention is that we're not guessing here. We are giving you a full mirror that is going to create precision and save time, energy, money in the process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Um, the last question that I had for you is, some people going into this process, they may have some hesitations. We covered some of them before, but maybe some people might be looking at this like, hey, this is a big investment. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, will I get the results? Will I be able to do it? So if you were talking to somebody who was on the fence, they were hesitant to do this, but this was the right option for them, what would you share with them from your experience that would help them make that decision?
Yeah. So a lot of times I understand well, I can't say for, I don't know what some people's, but if it is a money issue, if you do the math, I mean, it's not that pricey. You get like, you break it down to by the second, by the days, like Victor spends a lot of time with you and you save a lot of time, to be honest. Like, I think I honestly, after the first 2 sessions, I was like, wait a minute, I already solved everything that I already wanted to get solved. I was like, I've never had that before. So it was just kind of like, all right, then new things came up. Like you just kind of like it was like a fast track where you kind of was like you're kind of in this chamber where just time was just like warping forward really fast because then all these things were just getting solved because the tools are all there and it was all very useful. So anyone on the fence, I mean, if it is a money issue, like if you really break it down like day by day, like it's really not pricey at all. You get a really good deal from this. And also, I mean, money you're always gonna eventually get, but time you don't get back. And I don't personally, I have not seen any other coach like this, what Victor has been able to deliver and help with. Like the results have been very much there. And because my friend who recommended you actually, he has worked with way more coaches than I have and with self-development. And sometimes self-development, self-help type of stuff, it can be a bit scary because it's just like there's a lot of like I don't want to say the word scammers, but there's a lot of people out there that are just kind of like they don't know even know you have to like look at their lives, right? Like if this not the life that they're kind of going after, if it's not a very, very grounded life and they're a self-help coach and they're just out kind of like partying or they're not really grounded themselves, then something's off. Like with Victor, I mean, everything seems right. So I think that was already a huge green flag for me because I was like, all right, I trust my buddy, but I wanted to like kind of dig in and there's a lot of good things. And I mean, you've helped a lot of people already before this, so it's not like you're just new on the block. There's a lot of guys that are just new on the block and they have no idea what they're doing. They're just trying to make money. So I mean, I think this is like a pretty good overview of what I think. I don't want to, I can keep going on and on, but let's say,
No, that's perfect, man. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It really is my intention to create that kind of coaching experience as well as to live a life that is congruent when I'm not coaching, right? Because I think you make a good point. When you see some other coaches out there, they may be living a life that is incongruent from what they're teaching. And the problem with that is that it bleeds into the coaching. It bleeds into the effectiveness of the coaching. So I always do my best. And what I always tell people is like, when you're looking for a coach, look at the way that that coach lives before you decide, right? Like, are they in a good relationship? Are they healthy? Do they have a good relationship with their emotions? They have friends? Do they have hobbies? Like, are they on top of their stuff? Like, these are all things that you want to look at because any incongruencies in the coach's life, because coaching can be such a personal experience, will bleed into the coaching. So you're right. There are people who've read like half a book and they're like, I'm a business coach now. It's like, all right, man.
yeah, yeah, happens.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful that you put your trust in me and honored to have taken you through that experience. It's always amazing to see the results, to see somebody who is liberated from the weight of their emotional debt and is able to live a life where they are sovereign and have access to practical tools that they can use every day.
Likewise. Yeah, thank you. I should be the one thanking you.
Of course, man.